This podcast was a mess.
Welcome back to the WildlifeHer podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dallas Ingram. This week I want to talk a little bit about a trip that my husband and I recently took to Colorado to do a little bit of blue grouse hunting, or as they're now called, dusky grouse. We decided to take this trip in part because we had ordered a new dog trailer, and I'm going to show a preview of that dog trailer a little bit at the end. So stay tuned to the end and we'll do a quick tour of that. But we went to pick that up out in Texas, so decided since we're already almost to Colorado, we were going to go ahead and do a little bit of grouse hunting since season had just opened the week before. This was probably the second time that we'd done grouse hunting, but the first time with our dogs. And so this was going to be a new thing for us and for the dogs as well. We were at anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 feet in elevation. And being a flatlander from South Georgia, takes a bit of time for us and the dogs as well to get used to that type of elevation. So the first day was a little challenging. We started out a little bit lower elevation, looking at several different habitat types to figure out what exactly the grouse were using in this time. And we walked through all the different types of habitat everyone has suggested, from beautiful, nice open aspen with meadows along the edges, looking for food, bugs, lots of grasshoppers. We saw lots of those. Berries, saw lots of berries, and thought, okay, we were in the right spot for there to be grouse, and just could not connect with them on that day. We also went into some thicker woods. The dogs did get really birdy at one point, and we thought we probably were fixing to find a grouse. I think there'd probably been one there earlier, but we just never could connect with that bird. But it was a great walk. We were exhausted at the end, and gave us a chance to see how the dogs were going to do at higher elevations. We visited with some friends the next day, and then went back into another part of the national forest, and we hunted national forest right along the Colorado-New Mexico border the entire week. But this time, on the next day we hunted, we went up to closer to 10,000 feet in elevation. So we're really getting thin air when you get up at those elevations, and taking a little bit of time for us to get acclimated. One of the things we made sure that we were doing, not just for ourselves, but for the dogs, is staying hydrated. At those altitudes, you can easily become dehydrated and not realize it. So we stopped for a lot of water breaks, giving ourselves time to get a breather, get the dogs a little bit of time to drink some water. We were using some hydration pills, some electrolytes that were recommended for dogs to try to keep them hydrated. Because often when we're hunting, they get super excited, and it's really hard for them for us to get them to drink at times. So we kept everybody hydrated, good meals when we'd get back home. We did encounter some on the second day, and were able to shoot. I think we wound up with 4 birds. So the dogs knew what they were looking for at this point, and we knew kind of what we were looking for, or so we thought. But we put a lot of miles in, up and down a lot of hills, all different types of habitat, heavier dark timber, nice open meadows, aspen, everything in between, several different types of elevations. And elk season was in at this time, and we ran into a lot of elk hunters who kept saying, we're seeing grouse everywhere. We're seeing grouse everywhere. And we just weren't finding them. So it was like, well, where are you seeing them? And one guy actually says, well, you need to get off the road, which is what we'd been doing all morning. But the only place we found grouse was along a road. So his advice wasn't really helpful either. So we found a couple of grouse that day. Like I said, the dogs were very excited. We were too, and got to spend the evening a little bit more relaxing after a lot of work. And then went back out the following day. I did a half-day hunt with no success in a little bit different area, and went back to one of the first areas that we went to on the final day because we'd seen lots of food. The place where we found the grouse, we didn't really see food. It was there were no grasshoppers to speak of. We didn't see any berries at all. And when we cleaned the birds later on to see what they were eating, it was all grasses like dandelions. We found dandelion blooms and the leaves of that, and a few other little green that they were finding along the road edges. So for some reason in that area, There was not a lot of food, but that's where we find the birds. And then when we went back to the areas where we thought there should be grouse, because there was so much food, we didn't find any grouse at all. So we were talking to some folks who have hunted in some areas in that part of the state before, and getting some ideas on what might have been the problem. And they mentioned how blue grouse are very interesting and that they can be very spotty. You can find them in one area just all of a sudden. You can walk for hours and hours, which is what we encountered, not see a single thing, and then find a pocket of grouse. And so we have a friend who had hunted blue grouse a good bit. And so we were asking him maybe, what did he think were some reasons we may not have been able to find grouse in some of those areas where we thought there should be grouse. And in the habitats that, was picture perfect, everyone has been seeing those in those areas. And his thoughts are, they had some really late snows in that part of the state, and probably April they were seeing some snows, maybe even early May, and it's possible that impacted the nesting. So there really wasn't good reproduction this year in those areas, which made sense. And then they may not have seen the snows in the areas where we were seeing the birds, because we were seeing pretty good sized broods. We saw probably 7 in the brood, one of the broods that we came upon, and a lot of hunters were mentioning that they were seeing, anywhere from 6 to 10 birds together. So that area did have really good reproduction. So maybe that is why we weren't seeing birds in the areas that we thought we should, just because of that late weather. But again, blue grouse, new species for us. Don't consider it conquered yet. Still got a lot to learn about those. It was a lot of fun. And even in those areas where we weren't seeing birds, it was a beautiful walk. The dogs had a good time. We had a good time. We saw a good bit of other wildlife as well. We've now got some turkey hunting spots to look at for the future. Some mule deer, and we saw a lot of elk sign. The elk guys may not have been seeing elk when seeing grouse, and we were seeing elk and not seeing grouse. So we will definitely be back at some point. We were successful, but so not the end of the world. Coming home, or the last day, I guess, we did notice that the dog's feet, we were starting to see some wear on the pads. And there's a lot of rock in some of those areas that we were hunting, especially those higher elevations. So it's not surprising that after 3 to 4 days of hunting, that they were starting to see some wear. And even on the days that we weren't hunting, the dogs were out with us, running up and down hills. So they probably had 5 days of wear on their pads at that point. And so probably if we did this again, or had done it for another day, we would probably have to start booting their feet. And then even though we thought a pretty decent job of getting them to drink water and using some supplements to maintain some hydration, that last day they did not do a great job of staying hydrated. And I think with the elevation changes and all the excitement of the week, that last day home, we did have a little bit of intestinal issues with one of the dogs in particular. So that's something we'll have to learn a little bit more about, how to handle that. Not the first time we've had issues with a dog traveling. It's never fun. We have noticed that if we include pumpkin into the mix when we're feeding them, that seems to kind of help with that hydration and helps that stomach a little bit. So we did not do that this time. We'll probably try that again and see if that's one of the ticket, I guess, to maintaining a good gut health, so we don't have those issues coming home. Again, definitely not a fun trip on way home with a dog with intestinal issues. If you have tips on what you do for keeping your dogs healthy on long trips, love to hear about them. You can share those on Facebook with us or comment below. So again, this is going to be kind of I just want to give a quick summary of what we were doing, throw up some pictures of some of the beautiful areas that we were in, and some of the great habitat. We had, again, a wonderful time, short trip, a lot of driving, but it was definitely worth it. Came home successful. Looking forward to doing it again. So now I think we'll step out and do a quick tour of the dog trailer that we picked up from Klein Kennels. He did an excellent job, and thought I'd like to share that with you so you kind of see how we're set up and maybe get you some ideas if you're looking for a kennel for yourself. Hold on, we'll be right back. Okay, as I mentioned, we made a trip out to Colorado to stop by in Texas to get our new dog trailer that we had special ordered and from Klein Kennels, and wanted to show you a little bit of what that looks like. Okay, so we got a 4-hole trailer. It's all aluminum. There's no wood in this trailer. And we customized it a little bit to add a little extra storage for us. We raised up the heights to give us a little more depth in there for larger items. And as you can see inside, there's plenty of room. We've got lots of space in there for the dogs. It's got some foam padding on the bottom of it. We've got ventilation. These exhaust fans will run on. You could turn those on when it's attached, hooked up to the vehicle. And on the doors, there's good ventilation. You've got an open louver system. And then inside of those as well, you've got a latch that will both lock and will hook up as well. Thank you, Lola. And then we've got tie outs on each corner, so one for each dog. And we added a nice hook so that if they had just the leashes with them, we could quickly hook them up and tie them out with no problem. Then we have water on the back, so it's actually set up to where you can do the water in whatever situation that you want it to be done. And then I like the fact that the cap is attached so we won't lose this cap. We added some extra storage on the top of the water tank. A lot of times that's left open. Some people like to put their dogs up on that, but we just added an extra storage space in the back for us to put extra supplies. You can never have enough storage. I will mention too that the running boards, you can stand on those, so you can reach up into that higher storage up on the top if you need to, or stand the dogs up on those as well. Then we'll come around to the other side again. Same side of setup. We can see inside on the back. There's good storage. It passes through on both sides. These supports hold the doors open for you, and then you just kind of push those down to shut those doors. We have an exterior light for the tag. These exterior lights work when you have the vehicle hooked up. You can turn those on. There's a switch inside, and then there's if I can get this in here, there's an inside switch that will turn on as well. Again, good ventilation, runs on both sides, and then we added a little extra storage in the front. You could put a battery or whatever you needed in there, extra supplies, and then a lot of drop-in spot, drop your birds, whatever, and then the spare tire is there available for us. So really good setup. It's a lightweight trailer, but it tows really well. We had no problem trailering this from Colorado all the way back here to Georgia. No issues whatsoever. And we so far are really happy with this trailer and are looking forward to trying it out in the field. So that's it for this episode. Just wanted to give you a quick overview of our trip to Colorado and the new dog trailer. We appreciate you listening. Subscribe, like, comment below. And until next time, we'll see you. Thanks.